breaking down the players and then trying to correlate them to the betting market.
And Sean King.
There are guys that are going to be available that have more value than overdrafting a running back.
Weeknights at 9 on your home for VSiN, 94.9 The Fan and The Fan app.
Your sports live here. WBUZ HD3 Laverne. We are the Game Nashville Sports Network. ESPN 94.9 The Fan.
30 years of the best sports talk in Middle Tennessee. It's the George Plaster Show, featuring Tennessee Sports Hall of Famers Kelly Holcomb and young gun Billy Derrick. And now, here's your host, George Plaster.
Hello again, everybody. Welcome in. It is a cold and raw Friday in Nashville, Tennessee, and we are at day 2 of the Last Minute Toy Store. This takes place at Sheriff Darren Hall's facility out on Harding Pike. Billy is going to give you, for those of you who happen to be watching this by way of podcast, a little bit of a picture of what is going on. It is one of the most amazing sights you will ever see, and maybe for me, the coolest charity event that I have ever seen. Billy, if you will, go over toward the right corner over there and show them a little bit of that as well. It's pretty amazing what is going on. Yesterday, and I know I've got it in front of me, 945 families were served, and that's 2,298 children that are going to have a better Christmas. I have not heard the totals for today. However, I can promise you it has been wild. Billy will join me over here at the broadcast site in about 10 seconds. I gave Billy a tour about an hour and a half ago that hopefully explains to him why this was a charity I wanted to help.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. I mean, just the preparation that goes into this. How long have they been, like each year, how long do they prepare for this?
I think they really gear up in October. It's a little bit like the bowling deal.
I mean, this isn't just a few weeks before.
No.
Throw some things together. This is a huge deal here, and it takes a ton of work. And it was really cool to see kind of behind the scenes of how this thing goes down.
Kelly Roble, whose husband Dale kind of made sure that this thing didn't die several years ago with help from people like Sheriff Darren Hall. Kelly Roble, her level of organizational skill to put all these parts together, I have no idea how she came up with this. It's absolutely incredible.
It really is.
So I know we got a lot to get to. Let's start the way we normally do during football season. Terry McCormick's Daily Titans Update. Terry, of course, Main Street Media and TitanInsider.com. He has had a busy week. And, of course, Terry was part of the bowling event that turned over a lot of the funds that we're using to the Last Minute Toy Store. Terry, how are you?
Doing well, George, and congratulations on your help with the Last Minute Toy Store and the bowling event that helps to fund that.
Terry, now I'm not sure I felt this way 2 weeks before the bowling, but this is a labor of love. Watching this thing go on blows my mind. It really does. I mean, you can see the backdrop behind me and how well they have decorated what is essentially a big old warehouse. Anyway, there's been a lot of news there this week. Anything today of note?
Yeah, the biggest thing of note is that kicker Nick Folk. I remember, last week he showed up on the injury report with a groin injury. This week it's an abdomen injury, and he is going to be the old game time decision. So that's something to watch out for and keep an eye on as the Titans get ready to head to Indianapolis. If he can't go, then Braden Narvison, who was with the team earlier in the year, was claimed by Green Bay, then let go after a few weeks. He will be added to the roster in some form or fashion, be that a practice squad call-up or a 53 spot, and he would be available as insurance should Nick Folk not be able to answer the bell.
Terry, there's been a lot of quarterback talk in our city, and rightfully so. But the truth of it is, it's kind of the same deal in Indy as they try to figure out, okay, do we really have our quarterback of the future, or is he just a big old incredible Hulk who maybe lacks some quarterback skills?
Yeah, that's a good question, George. I mean, I think, the jury is still way out on Anthony Richardson. Maybe, and he might be even more of a project than the Titans have on their hands with Will Levis, because at certain times with Levis, you do see things, kind of connect and he'll hit a big play here or there. Richardson has done that on occasion with the deep ball, but when you're completing 47% of your passes and you have more interceptions than touchdowns, something is not getting done. And quite honestly, it's amazing that the Colts are 6-8 and still somewhat alive in the playoff chase, given how things have turned out for them at the quarterback spot.
Yeah, it's kind of mathematical, but you could see a scenario where both the Titans and the Colts are competing in that same kind of quarterback market during the offseason.
Yeah, I mean, that bridge quarterback market, if you want to call it that, that's going to have maybe Sam Darnold if the Vikings don't retain him, or Kirk Cousins or Derek Carr, and then, of course, all the guys who are about to be free agents from that 2021 class that didn't quite pan out. Trey Lance, Mac Jones, Zach Wilson, the whole list, Justin Fields, all those guys are going to be available this offseason. So it's going to be interesting to see what the Colts feel like they have in Richardson versus what the Titans feel like they still can get out of Will Levis.
Anything else you want to lay on us?
One other thing, linebacker Luke Gifford will not play on Sunday. He is still in the concussion protocol after the hit that he suffered last week against the Bengals.
He had been playing pretty well for this team. We'll keep monitoring. It's a noon kickoff Sunday from Lucas Oil Stadium. Terry, thank you for the visit, and I guess we're close to saying Merry Christmas, aren't we?
Yeah, well, I guess we are. Merry Christmas.
Talk to you.
All right.
Hey, Billy, I'm going to want you one more time to use the camera. I want to kind of explain for about a minute and a half what goes on here. When somebody comes in who is going to receive toys, they've got the thing divided in different ways where you'll see, for instance, you see those signs that will show you where it is they're going to go shopping. Then, Billy, over to the right, after they've gone to certain age categories, they'll get stuffed animals and candy canes and puzzles and crafts. It's really an amazingly well put together and thought out deal that I can honestly tell you I've had nothing to do with. Now, they just made an announcement a minute ago, and hopefully Billy heard all of that, because I'm trying to figure out how many people they have served today. Billy, go ahead if you want, and we'll go back to our normal stuff. And hopefully you heard what I was not able to hear, and we'll bring Billy back here. Could you hear what the numbers were that they threw out for today?
I was not paying attention. My apologies, George.
That's okay. Okay, you ready to do an update?
Well, let's do it. It's brought to you by Lori
got
Burnett.
A lot to talk about.
Yeah, Lori Burnett Leland presents today's update. You can find her online at mortgageladyusa.com or give her a call, 615-969-4300. 5-0. Well, the Preds lost in a dagger heartbreaker last night to the Penguins 5-4. They've lost 7 straight overtime games, and I know you were there, George. It was a tough one last night.
Yeah, and I got to be honest, Billy, I was amazed that I was able to see it through to the end. In the third period, there was a point where I was, wake up, but a lot of Pittsburgh fans, holy cow.
Yeah, well, and I saw where Crosby was getting into it with Michael McCarron a little bit.
Big,
and then he scored a goal and had something to say about it. But Crosby, over his career, has destroyed the Preds.
Oh,
And he did again last night.
Yeah.
So Penguins get the win. Preds are playing better.
They're playing better, but they don't ever get anything done in overtime. And they've played in too many overtime games. They don't win any of them.
No, they're 1-7 in overtime games this season. The homestand will continue tomorrow afternoon against the Kings at 12:30. See how that game is attended with all the football games going on.
Yeah,
But
there's a lot of competition. Let's put it that way.
in the NFL, Chargers beat the Broncos 34-27 last night. 11-point comeback for Jim Harbaugh and company. But George, how about this? The Chargers forced a Broncos punt, and it looks like we're going to –
Hold on a second. I got to find out something. Dale Roble joins us here at our broadcast table. I need one piece of info. You all passed out some numbers a minute ago about today. You didn't hear them, did you?
I'll find out real
Okay,
quick.
hold on a second.
The numbers from today are 1,500 kids. That's what we got so far.
So far.
Right now, we're over 1,500 children served. That's today.
Yeah.
Yesterday was our largest one day only, and we were at, was it 22, over 2,200.
2298.
Was it? I mean, it seemed like we could like fudge, but I guess we don't. It
No,
just
I
shows
had
the
it
truth.
written down.
We had 2298. We had 2298 yesterday. And if we were liars, we'd say 2,300 even.
Right,
Is that
but
right?
we're not going to lie.
We're not going to lie.
This is incredible. We have had some great film footage that Billy's provided for us. So I grabbed you. I know you got other things to do, so go.
I am shopping right now with some people. And George, thank you. Billy, you're such a star, a celeb. Other than, I don't know if y'all can see this, the Notre Dame shirt drives me a little bonkers, but we love him anyway.
We'll
Thank you.
discuss that. He'll never wear that again.
That's
not
right.
on this show.
I'll talk to you later. God
Okay,
bless.
see you.
But anyway, how about this from last night as Dale is volunteering right now? The Chargers forced a Broncos punt just before halftime. And on that punt, the Broncos committed fair catch interference on the Chargers returner, Darius Davis. That set the Chargers up with the ball at the Broncos' 47-yard line with one untimed down remaining in the half. And Harbaugh opted to attempt a fair catch kick.
So, Billy,
It's a rarely used rule that allows a team to kick a field goal from the spot on the play immediately following a fair catch.
I think I heard it had not been used in like 18 years.
Yeah. Cameron Dicker drilled
Cameron
the
Dicker,
57-yarder.
kicker. I'm not surprised that Harbaugh is the one that brought that out. He is, I would describe Jim Harbaugh, what I know about him from his dad, kind of a football historian.
Yeah.
It's a little used rule that probably your generation
didn't even know
existed.
I had no idea it existed. The rule book defines it as either a drop kick or place kick without a T.
I got to laugh. Were they able to see that, the ones on the –
Yes.
Okay, so Ross, thank you very much. The Orioles are appreciated.
Orioles?
Oreos.
Did you just call those Orioles?
I might have.
Oh my
Look, it's
God.
been a long day. Been a long couple of days, but incredible days.
Yeah. College football earlier today, Ohio was able to hold on and beat Jacksonville State in the Cure Bowl.
Got hairy late.
Sure did. And right now, Tulane and Florida going at it in the Gasparilla Bowl. Florida leads 3-0 just as we get underway with the second quarter in that one. And tonight, Indiana and Notre Dame.
Okay,
in South Bend.
For those who are watching, Billy is about to post a picture of what Notre Dame's campus looked like earlier today. They've been hit with 3 inches of snow. Now, apparently the snow will not be a factor tonight. Notre Dame has artificial turf, which blows my mind because forever they were natural grass in that old stadium. That place has been renovated about 15 years ago, went from 59,000 to now its current capacity of about 80. Game time temperature tonight around 26 degrees. The wind that we're getting, I don't think will be a huge factor up there. So are people seeing that picture? Look at that. Man, that is cool. I really wonder, Billy, there's been a lot of talk about the playoff, and there's no doubt people are excited. Does tonight's telecast end up being the largest college football audience of the year thus far?
I wonder about that because, yes, it's Notre Dame. Yes, it's the first game of the 12-team playoff ever. But you have to remember who they're playing. Indiana is not necessarily a tradition-rich football program. Now, this will be a huge ratings game.
Yeah.
But
will
is
it be
up
to that level?
Yeah, like if Notre Dame was playing Georgia in South Bend tonight, absolutely. Or Tennessee, absolutely.
So I believe I'm right. The largest college football TV audience so far this year, I think, is the Texas-Georgia SEC title game.
Yes. And then the second is the Texas-Georgia game from the regular season.
Yeah. Okay, after the break, we'll be joined by our buddy Watson Brown. We're going to get into a bunch of different things, including where this whole NIL and transfer portal is going around the bowl season. The coaches are really complaining, and I can't say I blame them. This is 94.9 The Fan.
It was the most horrible experience that any mother could ever go through. I knew that I needed to get help. My friend, she immediately said, "You need to call Bart Durham." And you guys were there within an hour. You guys are like family for us.
Yeah, sure is nice to connect with the people that you're doing your best to help.
It's easy to say good things about the folks at Strike and Spare Family Fun Centers. Number one, I trust them with something that's near and dear to me, the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. But more importantly, I see the fun people have. They enjoy the bowling, they enjoy the camaraderie, and you will too. Come by any of their locations and get ready to have some fun. Venture Express has been helping people in this area for more than 40 years. They're headquartered in Murfreesboro with over 30 years of dedicated fleets involving production, manufacturing, and corrugated experiences. They're an asset-based company with over 700 tractors, 4,000 trailers, and 800 drivers. If you need their help, dial them up 615-793-9500 or log on to ventureexpress.com.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonleyTimmons.com.
This is Kevin Ingram. Coming up Saturday, it's an I-24 matchup as Vanderbilt hosts Austin Peay. Tip off at 2. Join Tim and me for the call. Coverage starts at 1:30.
Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan and the Game Nashville app. It's the George Plaster Show. Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
We're back at the Last Minute Toy Store, day 2 of the event from the Sheriff's Warehouse on Harding Pike. I have been given some numbers that I'll pass on to you real quickly. In the 2 days thus far, 1,613 families have shopped. 3,865 kids will be better off at Christmas for that. And it's absolutely incredible, and I admit I love it. Coach Watson Brown joins us from Cookeville. If he were in Nashville, I know he'd be right here with me. Merry Christmas, Watson, to you and your family.
George, same to you and Billy and everybody. And, man, what a deal you're doing. That is just – it is fantastic. Isn't it amazing? I did a deal when I was at UAB for many years for the Sheriff's Ranches in Alabama. And I have to admit, I got as much out of it as the kids got. I mean, it was just fantastic. They'd always have children there with us at the different fundraisers we would do. And just what you're going through and the number of kids, my gracious, the number of families that this will affect in a positive way over Christmas with our economy fighting like we are, George, and just to have this right now and you to be a part of it. I know it means a lot to you and it sure means a lot to these families.
Yeah, I got to tell you, we went shopping earlier today in a sheriff's box truck, and we ended up going over to the Sam's just down the street from here. 81 toys, and $1,700 later, we returned and put the people who are in charge of sort of sorting out all these toys. I'm telling you, this thing is incredibly organized, and I have nothing to do with that.
No, believe me, but you're a good follower. You're a good follower, so that's a good thing.
So let's talk about tonight for a minute. Is it as simple as Notre Dame ought to be able to overpower Indiana at the lines of scrimmage, or am I selling the Hoosiers and their football renaissance a little bit short?
I think you're selling both sides a little short. I think Notre Dame is quicker and more athletic than I've seen them in years. I think it'll show if they win tonight. I think they will, and it'll show as this playoff goes on. So I think they're more than what they used to be. They're much more than just big old bodies and a power team. And I think back about Aaron Parsegian times, Lou Holtz's times. This is a different looking bunch, starting with their athletic quarterback. And the other side, Indiana will show. I'm telling you, I love watching them play. I don't know if they're good enough or not. I really don't think they are physically, but they're. I'm telling you now, Notre Dame's going to get their shot. This bunch is confident. They have been all year. It comes straight through the head coach down, and they didn't look good at Ohio State, but they made mistakes. They weren't just physical things. They were mistakes that they made. And but they're going to come right back with that same confidence, playing right in the same state, getting to drive right up the road to play. I'm telling you, and listening to Notre Dame football, all these people for so many years, Notre Dame's fixing to catch all Indiana's got, and that's why I think it's going to be a great game.
Well, and you know who the pressure's on.
The pressure's on Notre Dame.
It's not on Indiana.
It's totally, and it's on Notre Dame, Billy, in a way I've they don't want to lose to one in their own state. I mean, they just don't want to do that. They don't want to lose, period, in these playoffs. But at the same time, to turn around and lose right down the road, you're dead right on that, in my opinion.
Watson, Cignetti has gotten a ton of credit, and rightfully so, for what he's done. But did he walk into kind of a sleeper, really good deal that nobody quite knew?
I guess nobody knew the money they had, because I think they spent money. And he brought in a bunch of new faces, brought a bunch with him from James Madison. And I know they've been athletic for quite a few years. So he added some athleticism right straight from the school he came from. But I think Indiana's had money, George, and I think they've spent it. That's the difference in the world today. The teams that have been lower division teams for all these years, all of a sudden they got a great chance to jump up because they can at least match the money with the big boys. And if they've got the money to match it, then believe me, that matters to these kids. And it's not now as much of, well, this place is not won at all, I'm not going there. Ooh, this place is going to pay me this. So it's a complete different attitude talking to kids. And then you add now a year where they've been pretty good. They'll get to add that to the money next year. I mean, anybody that's willing to throw the NIL money around and have enough of it to match any of the big boys, they should be around at the end of a season.
So you have not only been a head football coach for a lot of years, but you've also, as some people know, been a college administrator, athletic director. You're one of the few ADs that'll speak to me. Are even you surprised at the level of interest that our country has about this playoff?
Not at all. I felt it, George, at the start of the year. I just felt it. And every game mattered, and many more teams got to hang in much longer, which made all their fan base excited through the year. In just a year ago, if you lost 2, you were done. And now you lose 2, even to 3 with some of these, with the SEC and the Big Ten probably, even with 3, you still were hanging around. So it's a complete different mindset. I can't wait to watch these games. I think there's going to be tweak to this. I hope it stays right at 12. I think that's a good number right now. Those top 4, I don't like the way they did that. I do not like the way that people got buys. I still think throw all 12 and they ought to be ranked in the top 4, get a bye, not a conference champion, because it's different levels of competition in each conference. So I just don't see how you do that. And you see that fair. NC2A basketball doesn't do that. That's not the way they do it. It might get you in the tournament, but it doesn't seed you. And I just think that will be one of the things they change next year.
Coach Watson Brown is with us from Cookeville. Watson, as you know, there's an excitement level in this state about Tennessee's appearance tomorrow night in Columbus, and it sounds like through a variety of different ways they've gotten a ton of tickets to get in there. In fact, one of the things I've heard is they were able to get some sort of code that was supposed to go strictly to Ohio State fans. It ended up in Tennessee's hands, and apparently those people knew exactly what to do with it. Oops, here we go. Thank you very much. We'll see you on Saturday. Watson, in your mind, how good a shot does Tennessee have tomorrow night?
I think the best of the 4 games is that game is to be the upset game. For 2 reasons. Number one, the matchup. Ohio State has struggled stopping the run all year long. They've won a bunch of games, so they haven't struggled a bunch. But they have, when they've struggled, it's stopping the run. That's Tennessee's bag, and they've not played the Tennessee style at all. Not this widespread and be able to run the ball like they can. And so I just think they're going to have to be copycats because they hadn't played this style, and they're going to copy some of the teams Tennessee has played that had some decent success, but Tennessee's had time to work on that stuff. And I would think they'd be expecting some of the looks where they struggle, like at Oklahoma when they first came out in the 5 DB look and with 5 in the box, but getting 2 halves back down in there real quick. So to me, it's advantage that way, Tennessee. The advantage for Ohio State is home and the weather, even though there will be more Tennessee fans in there. It'll still be an Ohio State game. I think that one is going to be Tennessee in a close one, or Ohio State beats them by 10-14. And it's going to be how Tennessee starts. If Tennessee gets off to a good start and the frustration that's in those Ohio State fans now from losing to Michigan again in their home, right where they wanted to be at home, and not get to play in the Big Ten championship, that is still eating at them, man. And if Tennessee can get off to a good start, I think they're going to win in a close game. The one thing that I worry about for Tennessee is that Howard comes back and plays a really good football game. I think he's a winner. I think he will respond to the negatives that he's been around. Anytime you lose, and when you're not used to losing, George and Billy, when that happens, what two people catch it? The head coach and the quarterback. And I think this young man is a winner and a tough kid. I think he's going to play really good tomorrow night, and that will be the only real negative I got for Tennessee.
So, Watson, when was the last time a coach did as much winning as Ryan Day has done and been under this much fire and pressure going into a big game?
I can't name one. What was the guy at Nebraska, ended up at Ohio forever? Frank
Solich.
Yeah, Frank Solich gets fired at Nebraska after 9 wins. And that would have been a close one. But the difference here, George, is, yeah, they're winning, but they hadn't beat Michigan. And I was in that Alabama-Auburn State, and I was in that Ole Miss Mississippi State, and I was in that Texas-Oklahoma game. And I'm telling you, those games right there just get put up to a point that all of a sudden the win-loss record don't mean as much if you lose that game. And I'm telling you, I've been in them. I've been on both sides. I've won and lost those games. And that's the difference for Ohio State. If it had just been this year, I don't think he'd be catching it. But what has it been, 3 in a row? However many it's
4
been
in a row. Yeah, 4 in a row.
4 in a row. I mean, that now is just – that one-loss record doesn't mean as much when you're dealing with that.
Watson, Penn State has not been in this spot, obviously, in the playoff at all. Of course, they get in now that it's 12. SMU is a team that is explosive, but do they have enough physically to go up there and even keep it close? I mean, I've heard a lot of people saying Penn State could run away with this. What do you think SMU could do up there?
I think they got a bad draw. They beat you offensively with speed, just pure speed and wide openness and speed. And the weather like that just changes that. I think I mentioned this to George once. I remember when we finished the year at Oklahoma, Nebraska, we were the faster of the two teams. They were physical. And we went up there, and it's the coldest I've ever been in my life. I mean, I don't know. I felt like it was below zero. It was unbelievably cold. And it did. It 100% changed the game to where it made other things more important than what we were kind of built on at Oklahoma. And we ended up losing the game in the teens. And it's like 17-14 or something. I don't remember. But it completely changed the game. I think that's what's fixing to happen to SMU. It'll change the game. I just don't think they can win it the other way. I don't think they're physical enough to win it the other way. And that's why I think Penn State will get them and might get them pretty good.
Texas hosting Clemson. And of course, Clemson gets in because they win the ACC. I personally think this could get ugly, at least, but Clemson has been here. That they've been in the playoff. And they're familiar, Dabo is, but this is a different type of Clemson team. There's no Deshaun Watson or Trevor Lawrence walking through that door. Do you think Texas can run away with this one?
No, I don't. This is the one that I think they win. But Clemson is a very good defensive team. Texas struggles running the ball physically. Every time I've watched them, they just are not a very good power run football team. And they beat you with the tricky passes and the wide openness. Their athletes are fantastic. Clemson's got good athletes too, but Clemson's very good on defense. Texas is really good on defense. I don't think it'll be a high-scoring game, but I just feel, Billy, I totally get what you're saying. I just think this one's going to be closer. Clemson is the one here. It's a little bit like Notre Dame playing Indiana. Clemson's the one playing with the house money right now. Everybody didn't think there's no way they're going to get there. Well, they're there, and everybody's forgot about them. And the quarterback's been around a long time. And when you get to these kind of games, experienced quarterback play matters. And he's got experience. I don't think he'll make the mistakes that I've seen him make in years past. I think he'll play good. He's a Texas kid now. He's a Texas kid. And so that he's going to be ready to play. I think this one will be closer. I just don't think they're good enough to win the game. I think it's going to be closer than you think.
Coach Watson, Vandy's got Georgia Tech in the Birmingham Bowl, but Diego Pavia is back. What do you think about that? And not, I know there's a lot to talk about with what does this mean for other JUCO players, but just for Vanderbilt to get him back, what is the impact of that?
Well, it is impact, but it's also a question mark because it's not a done deal just yet. And the NCAA is going to fight that. And Coach Lee's got to figure out how he's going to handle that. I think it would be very hard. The plus is he could probably get some more good guy transfers to come in now that they know he's going to be back. The minus is I'm not sure he could go get another quarterback with Pavia back, not a really good one. So that's still out there. There's a gray area still, in my opinion. I don't want to get into all of the other, but I'll say this. I said it to George this morning. If this goes through, it's the biggest change, the biggest decision maker in NC2A history, in my opinion. Can you imagine players having 7 years to play? I mean, that's unbelievable. Might as well just call it the minor leagues of the NFL because that's what this is going to become. Somebody might get 3 degrees. Somebody might get a master's and then a doctorate before they got out of there. I mean, it's unbelievable if this were to happen. And we could talk about it for a week of thinking about different things that this would affect. And it's just going to be real interesting to see. It's huge for Vanderbilt, but I know Clark Lee has got to be sitting there saying, okay, how are we going to handle this? And because any quarterback I think he's talking to that's been a good player is not going to come, in my opinion, with Pavia coming back.
Watson, I thought you were going to say they could get Social Security and an AARP card.
You did better than me. That's but guys, think about that. 7 years.
Yeah.
You go play 2 years of junior college, and then your clock starts. I mean, good gracious, it's unbelievable. But I'm going to tell you, if it goes through, it's going to send a lot of high school kids to junior college because it's going to cut out fewer and fewer high school kids getting signed because kids are not going to be leaving programs. They're going to be there longer, and and with this transfer portal's already hurt high school signing kids. And now this, if it goes through, would really hurt high school signing kids. So I think you'll see a lot of high school kids go to junior college instead of stepping down to maybe FCS or a group of 5 or something. They may just go to junior college knowing that 2 years here and I get to be a freshman again. And one of the Power Fives will pick me up.
Watson, as you know, I have appointed you to a blue ribbon panel, and I can feel the excitement in your voice over that to try to fix college football off the field and the ills that it has. Isn't the first one that we've got to take the dates of the portal and get it out of the bowl and the playoff time. I mean, we can't have kids saying, I got to get out from my team, which is in the playoff, because I got to go sign somewhere.
Yeah, I don't know how they're going to do it, George, because the whole situation is set up off of getting those kids in school in the spring. And if you back that up to where it's past dates of being able to get into Texas when you're transferring, or to Vanderbilt or Tennessee or whatever, that's the reason it's set up the way it is now, because they want these kids to have enough time to talk to people, maybe go visit a couple of places, sign somewhere, and then be able to get in school for the spring semester. And most of these kids are going into the spring semester. Well, everybody that's in the transfer portal right now would be on a campus if taken by somebody. So they got their hands full. It's going to be real interesting to see how they go about this. It's not fair. It's not a good look. These bowl games have been knocked down so many times now. And there's teams. Well, Vanderbilt's got an important player I know missing. Georgia Tech's got quite a few important players missing. Yeah. And that takes away from the bowl. We've been dealing with coaches that aren't at the bowl. The game this afternoon, neither coach was there. They're both gone. But now it's players. Now it's a bunch of players that are gone. So the players leaving early for the portal, and then the coaches having to double dip during the most important time of the year with the playoffs fixing to start. The 12 coaches that are in the playoffs having to double dip and do all this and get ready for the playoffs, it's just not right. So something's got to give. I'm anxious to see what they come up with. What I would do is shorten the time. I think these kids know pretty quick. As soon as somebody calls them, yeah, I'm going there. I don't think you need 3 weeks. I'm not sure you couldn't do a portal in 10 days or a week even and say, it's it. You better find your spot. You better get on the phone and call them. But I would back it up, and I'd really put it up against getting them in school. I can remember schools I was at where we would get kids in 4 or 5 days late after school started. I can remember when that happened. And what may have to take place here is each university is going to have to give a little bit and say, we'll give you another 3 or 4 days and get them in here and put them in class. These are top things I think they got to look at. But the only answer, I think, George and Billy, is back the portal up. It's got to be backed up some.
Yep. You're exactly right. That's why I've got you on the committee.
The committee chair?
Well, I mean, he could be if he slips enough money under the table. Either that or makes a significant contribution to the last-minute toy store. Then you never know what could happen.
No, that's true. I'm sure you all look talking about money, George. I don't know if you did. I can't remember them all now, but the amount of NIL money the 12 teams playing for the championship had. And I think the top was like 20-something thousand. Number 2 was 20-something million. Number 2 was 18-something million. It got down to where a lot of them were 13 and 12 million. It's real interesting to look at that and see where everybody is. And I just think if they don't cap it at some point, it's so important. They make so much money, and the image of winning a championship and getting in these 12, I think these schools it'll go higher and higher and higher as it goes. And like I say, I think it's an equalizer, man. If you've been 10th in your conference and you've got $20 million, you're fixing to shoot up the ladder real quick if you make good decisions. Now, Nick Saban was right. You can't buy bad players. You better make sure who you're buying is a good player. But that's a lot of money, guys, being thrown around.
Watson, think about this, and this will make you want to throw up. If they'd had NIL in the mid-'60s, you're a quarterback with real ability. You got Alabama chasing after you. You've got Vandy obviously chasing after you. You have some personality. You have the answer to hello if spoken to. Think of the marketability of Watson Brown. You wouldn't be doing this show.
Oh, George, I'm past that because I went through thinking about this, what these coaches are making today compared to when I was at a Power 5 too. I've already thought that out, so I threw up on that one for many times. But you're dead right, and I don't mean to sound anywhere negative toward the NIL. I think it's very fair to the players, and it doesn't surprise me it came to this. But gracious, let's figure out a way to where it doesn't kill everybody, and this money keeps going up and up and up. There's got to be a cap put somewhere on this, in my opinion.
Amen. Hey, Merry Christmas to you and Brenda, the better bowler in the family. And
there are a lot of things in the family.
Hey, y'all have a great Christmas.
I quit doing that many years ago, by the way. We'd play horse, and when I can't beat her at something, I don't play her anymore. So
smart
we have
move.
not played basketball in many years.
Hey, Merry Christmas. Thanks for doing this.
See you, Coach.
Merry Christmas to you guys. Miss all of you. Thank you.
Come on down.
All right, buddy.
He's a good one. Actually, he's the best. He's Coach Watson Brown, and we thank him for joining us. Billy and I will have a few thoughts about what he put out there, and we'll do it next on 94.9 The Fan. This is my buddy Stan Harrison from Apple Collision Centers. Recently, you've been talking to me about companies that have a fleet of trucks, and they're always in need of repairs.
That's right, George. We understand that nobody likes to deal with the auto body repair process. We try to simplify that at our 3 convenient locations. We work with all major insurance companies. We help to ease the stress of the auto body repair process. We're located in Old Hickory, Hendersonville, and Gallatin. If you need our services, please stop by and see us.
And how convenient that we have that in the background. Now, seriously, these are good folks. They do really good work. Give them a holler.
You were in a crash.
Yeah.
Your kids were in a car with you.
We're very lucky to even be telling this story to you. Nikki treated us like family, and she was very caring and loving, and I'm just so grateful for that. She was somebody I could trust, and being a veteran, that's so important to me. My kids are going to have a better life now because I don't have to worry about those expenses that we were out. Your family has really created a legacy of trust, and I would recommend you to anyone.
Over the years, more men have started to seek help for hormone deficiencies and imbalances, and Dr. Jeffrey Lodge and wife Daphne, along with their experienced staff, give men the treatment required to improve their quality of life, improve your immune system, energy level, cognitive function, and more. There's no better time to achieve a healthy lifestyle. What are you waiting for? Give Cool Springs MD a call today for an appointment at 615-486-3458 or visit the website coolspringsmd.com. Are you concerned about the Medicare Part D changes for 2025? Believe me, you're not alone. You need to contact Pancoast Benefits. They'll make the changes clear and easy to understand. Trust Pancoast to guide you through it all. Their knowledgeable team is here to help you understand the updates and make informed decisions about your Medicare coverage. Don't navigate these changes alone. Call Pancoast Benefits today at 615-292-3400 and choose option 3, or visit pancoastbenefits.com. That's 615-292-3400 and choose option 3.
For over 35 years, Wilson Bank & Trust has been committed to providing customized banking solutions to help individuals, families, and businesses in Tennessee achieve their goals. As your full-service community bank, we are proud to offer loans with competitive rates, local decision-making, and fast, friendly service from our experienced lenders. No matter where you are on your financial journey, Wilson Bank & Trust is ready to help you take the next step. Visit your nearest Wilson Bank & Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Your sports live here.
on ESPN 94.9. The Fan.
And the Game Nashville Sports Network. It's the George Plaster Show. Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
We are back. Day two is almost over from the last minute toy store. The numbers are incredible. I don't know that even the pictures that we can show you can do justice to the amount of good that is happening and has been happening and will happen again tomorrow in the third and final day of this. It's absolutely amazing. And then we go home tonight, and I believe the Notre Dame Indiana game may well end up with the largest audience up till now that we've had for a college football game all year. And I say that, here's one reason I think that may be the case. Number one, it's obvious this is a unique new deal. But secondly, the eastern part of the country has been hit with what we've got here, which is cold,
wind,
raw. You don't want to get
30-mile-an-hour
out.
winds.
People are going to turn on their TV and watch.
Yeah, I saw a tweet. Notre Dame's expecting 175,000 people on campus. So, and the stadium holds, what'd you say, 80?
80 on pretty much
so
on the button.
Around 90,000 people in South Bend, in and around the stadium, that are going to be scrounging for late tickets. I'm sure there's some tickets still available, but I think a lot of it is because it's Notre Dame. I mean, it's, up there with Ohio State, Alabama, with the most tradition in the country. And I think the playoff strategized it that way, where now Notre Dame was going to host, but I think they were also always going to get this lone Friday night spot. I mean, they
were going to get either Friday night prime time or Saturday night. You could take, that was a codlock cinch.
Right.
Coach Newton, I can remember, before he passed away, this has been 10, 12 years ago, and he was driving me around Alabama's campus. We were about to have our annual golf outing, which, given that it was me and Mike Petroni, it wasn't necessarily great golf. Coach Newton's was. But he told me that in the regular season in Nick Saban's heyday, that there were 25 to 50,000 people on campus on the day of the game who had no expectation of getting in. They just wanted to be around it.
Yeah.
Now, if it's 26 degrees, screw that.
I know. I wonder because, there's some older people that like to go to the regular season games, whether it's South Bend or Happy Valley or Columbus, that probably aren't going to it's going to be cold. Luckily, it's going to be between 20 and 30. It's not going to, I don't think we'll be getting
26 degrees. Yeah. It doesn't appear, I looked at their forecast. It looks like it sort of stays right there.
Yeah. I don't think we'll be getting any negative temps, but they have also cleared the snow out of Notre Dame Stadium. So they did a good job throughout
it's an
today,
artificial turf deal.
Which
so
obviously helps.
Yeah.
But, you talked about, I was asking you about Notre Dame Stadium and how it's changed from when you called a game there back in, 1996?
Yeah, to be honest, it was the press box was a dump. I had been in high school.
Before they added on.
Before they renovated.
Yeah.
I'd been in high school press boxes that were better. Now, for me, the coolest thing, I remember they took John Gromos and I and our entire crew down into the bowels of the stadium and showed us where they did the helmets with the gold stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Which I don't think they do anymore.
Oh, I think they do.
And then John and I, our crew that night drove to Chicago, and we saw the White Sox in Seattle. Now, some of you may be saying, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard, but the baseball fan in me loved it.
Yeah, but that's the other thing about Notre Dame. This is Notre Dame in Indiana. Who would have thought?
Yeah,
Indiana.
I wonder how many people Indiana gets in there tonight. First of all, students are gone. So that's a big chunk of tickets that somebody's getting. Now, there'll be students there.
Yeah.
But it probably won't be the number that there would have been.
And I wonder if it's the same system of getting student tickets as it is for a regular season game. If they're, I mean, I'm sure
I don't know.
If you're a Notre Dame student and want to get into the game, you can get into the game. But
here's one thing I learned today. This was in The Athletic. Each of the teams that host in this opening round is getting a $3 million, I don't know what you call it, subsidy from the college football playoff system, which apparently has more money than God. They need to donate it to this thing.
Yeah.
$3 million to use for preparation and planning of these various games. So I look for the schools to blow it out.
Yeah.
With a lot of pyrotechnic crap and all the stuff that I know nothing about.
Well, you wonder too, national anthem, what this is going to be a show. I mean, these games are not tonight's game's not going to start till 7:30. If we're being 7:20, 7:30,
you might be right.
I mean, it's going to feel like not Super Bowl, but that type of feel.
Okay, we're a little late to go to our final break of the hour. When we come back, it will be Stat of the Day, and then Sheriff Darren Hall will join us from the Last Minute Toy Store, Day 2. This is 94.9 The Fan.
Where can you see a saber-toothed tiger rappel from the rafters? How about a catfish fly? The biggest stars in Music City. Not to mention hockey's hottest ticket. The Predators win! Only in Smashville. See your Nashville Predators all season long at Bridgestone Arena. Single game tickets are on sale now at NashvillePredators.com. Let's go, Preds!
Star Physical Therapy was established in 1997 with one great mission: to serve. If you're hurting, don't wait to receive physical therapy. You don't need a referral to see their physical therapist, and early morning and evening appointments are available. Make the call to 615-673-1420 and get rid of that pain. Star Physical Therapy, the official health provider of Football Friday.
Convenience and value, two words that we expect when we do business. Our goal at JHA Company is to deliver just that, both to our school partners and to our customers. Whether you're purchasing photos, yearbooks, class jewelry, letter jackets, school spirit wear, or senior graduation products, we strive to make the experience easy, convenient, and cost-effective. Find out more at jhacompany.com or call 615-867-6345 for more information. JHA, one source, one company.
At this point, I don't know what it is. Decade after decade, it seems like the same problems persist.
Unsportsmanlike. Weekday mornings starting at 6 Eastern on ESPN Radio and on ESPN2. This is Freddie and Harry.
I feel like more so than any year, this is the year that Kansas City needs the number one seed the most because of how bad their offensive tackles are. And the reason why I bring that up, when you have to go on the road and play, the offense has to deal with what? Crowd noise. When the offensive tackles are at home, they're more so at an advantage because they can hear the quarterback. They can hear the snap count. When you're on the road, you can't hear it, baby.
Check out more from Freddie and Harry weekdays at 3 Eastern on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. Evan, Canty, and Michelle are Unsportsmanlike.
I think the Detroit Lions are done. I don't think they're going to go on a championship run. I don't even know that the Detroit Lions are going to win their division. Like, at some point, you're just not going to be able to replace those losses. They signing guys off the street, bro. Like, at some point, you just can't overcome all of these losses. And that's where I'm at with the Detroit Lions. It feels like we've gotten to that tipping point.
Evan, Canty, and Michelle are Unsportsmanlike.
Evan, aliens or not?
I'm not a big alien guy. I don't believe in aliens.
You think we're the only life force in the entire universe in its vastness?
No, it's not that. It's just I don't know that they're here all of a sudden and they're flying.
They're checking for us.
Yeah, I just love the idea of the aliens being like, let's see what New Jersey's up to.
Right? Let's check in on Newark.
Unsportsmanlike. Weekday mornings starting at 6 Eastern on ESPN Radio and on ESPN2.
Your sports live here. WBUZ HD3 Laverne. All around the world on the Game Nashville app. We are the Game Nashville Sports Network. ESPN 94.9. The Fan.
It's the George Plaster Show. Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
Coming up, we're going to be joined by Davidson County Sheriff Darren Hall right here live from Last Minute Toy Store. But first, stat of the day brought to you by Apple Collision Centers. You can find them in Old Hickory, Hendersonville, or Gallatin. Give them a call, 615-754-9800, or log on to applecollisioncenters.com. All right, stat of the day, and I guess Sheriff might be roped into this one. And,
I doubt he knows that this sort of comes into it. You know, if he had known this ahead of time, he probably would have left.
In 2021, Justin Herbert set the Chargers record for most passing yards in a season a few years ago. Whose record did he break?
Okay, I think we got to go back to Air Coryell in the late 70s. Oh, geez, I'm trying to think who the quarterback was. You're telling me it's not Dan Fouts.
Yeah.
By golly, pull up Dan Fouts.
Look at that.
Look at you,
Hey,
baby.
you got it. No,
This is not your first
So
rodeo.
did you say Fouts first?
He sure did.
No,
he did.
Okay, you
Well,
did?
he
He
said
did. I couldn't
Coryell, though.
remember. I knew it, but I thought it was through Air Coryell. Billy, if you go
What's
back,
Air Coryell?
Don Coryell
yeah.
was the coach of the San Diego Chargers right as I was getting out of college. There is a playoff game that is as good an NFL playoff game as there's ever been.
Miami.
Yeah, and Miami is way down early. And right at some point, they go flea flicker. Wide receiver pitches back. Seems like it was Tony Nathan to somebody. We may look it up. Anyway,
Air
one of the
Coryell.
great games in NFL playoff history. And that's
Kellen
the way
Winslow. When Kellen
Yeah,
Winslow,
he
they drug
caught
him
about-
off the field.
they caught
Okay.
about 20 balls that day.
Sheriff, so you didn't know. I mean, you knew it was Dan Fouts, but how about Sheriff just coming up here and real quick?
Look,
He teed it up. He
Look,
teed it up.
this is not his first rodeo. Billy.
Right. I don't know.
And so I guess we now are officially into the 4 o'clock hour. And so let's go ahead and show the man who just like that got us another win in stat of the day. He is Davidson County Sheriff Darren Hall, and there's a soft spot in my heart for the decision you made several years ago to allow the Last Minute Toy Store to have this facility. How did it happen?
Yeah, George, it really is no credit of mine. I have a mutual friend of myself and Dale Roble, who you well know is the kind of the paternal wing of this whole program. We had lunch one day 8 or 9, 10 years ago, and the conversation was, as you well know from your days, the program started in a small church with an idea in West Nashville and had outgrown its space, and we were
busting at the seams.
But it was organic. Everything grew up. It was a great program, and so we had lunch, and the conversation was, hey, we're looking to kind of partner with someone, and we were ironically coming out of about a 30-year run of a thing called Sober Ride, where we used to go downtown and other places and help people get home that needed to be or did not need to be driving, and so I wanted to get out of that. We've been doing it a long time, and so the marriage was, let's go see if we can find the space. And to be honest, I mean, in 72 hours, this entire place flips back into a fully functioning warehouse laundry service that does a lot of work for us. And so it gives me so much joy to walk out here and see it turned into what looks like a winter wonderland. I mean, it's amazing.
This has got to be beyond your wildest dreams when you tried to envision, okay, now what would they do with this?
George, I'm embarrassed. If you'd asked me to write it down or give you the idea, it would have been, I thought it'd be like a drive-through and you pick something off the shelf and go. And even my staff, he's been promoted since then, but he was over this warehouse area at the time. And I went to him and said, with Dale's help, how much would you need? And we kind of undersold it. Well, what if we just use this piece of the building? And so, as you can tell, we've kind of taken over the entire complex. But, there's volunteers outside, inside, my staff who really just take a a liking to the program all year. But when it gets to this point, I mean, it just feels like you're really doing something good for the community.
So they came over a little while ago because I wanted the numbers. Going into 3 o'clock today, what is day 2 of 3 days of this, 1,613 families had been here, and 3,865 kids are going to have a better Christmas as of 3 o'clock today.
Wow. And George, I live out a couple of miles from here over in the kind of Nippers Corner area, and I frequent a little place called the Waffle House for my breakfasts some days, and I was in there just a month or so ago and was having breakfast and didn't really know or pay a lot of attention, and a woman working behind the counter, actually fixing the food, walked over and said, she said, you're the toy store man, is what she said. I said, well, I'll be whatever you want me to be. And she said, my kids had Christmas last year because of that. I'm so happy I'm working this year, and I don't think I'm going to need it, but we wouldn't have had anything. And I just, that's what it's about. I love to watch the faces of a lot of the parents turning this corner going, wow, I wasn't going to have anything.
Right.
And I'm going home with what you can tell are very, very nice toys. And, I just see some nice clothing, even warm jackets. There's all sorts of bicycles. And as you can imagine, and it's top to bottom as nice as you could be.
So, I think that's the thing that really gets to you, because I do exactly what you do. As I've taken people through shopping these first 2 days, you look at their reactions and you don't know the circumstances in which they're dealing that make them need this, but you know that, listen, this is really moving to them.
Yeah, and I hear that more than any one thing about people who volunteer like yourself at all throughout the year. We do different things in life, but there's just something, to me, there's something different about that parent knowing they don't have the opportunity to provide. And when that door opens and they come in here and you say, let's pick out what you want for your children, basically, they're getting what they want that they couldn't have afforded. And again, we won't be sitting there, Christmas morning when the kids walk down to see it. But as well as I do that day is changed forever because of what they're going to see. And I was blessed all my life. I lived 1 mile from this building. I grew up 1 mile from here. And, I tell everybody this. It was a town called Bakertown, which is really Antioch. And but I thought I was rich, George. I think our house is a 1,000 square foot house. And I thought I was rich because my parents made me feel that way, at least providing things. It wasn't big and nice. And I sit here and watch people who would not have had that opportunity to feel on that day rich and loved and cared for. And I hope we're a small part of it, all of us. Look at it. I mean, just something else.
Now, there are 1,300 volunteers over the 3 days who helped put this together. One of the most interesting stories is over your right shoulder, where your mom, who is up in age, I'm not going any farther because she may come over here and take a pop at me. She's been here today longer than I have in that stuffed animals area, and I got to be honest, she loved every minute of it.
Well, she's done it every year, and she starts on me about and for the record, I have a 6 and a 0 in my age category, and she's 20 plus years older than that. So let's just say she
let's just put it out there.
She could be home resting, but instead she looks forward to this every year. And I don't know. And she's done the shopping, she's done different stuff, and she loves doing the stuffed animal stuff. And funny story. Last year she did a whole day's worth of work, and I had gotten home by now. It's 6:30 or 7 o'clock on that particular day, and she calls me and needs a ride home because she was out here and dropped her key fob in someone's bag.
Oh gosh.
That had received free stuff. So we had to have her car redone and all that. So I teased her. I said, we're going to leave your vehicle home tonight.
Right.
But great to see her too.
So when you look at what do we got here? Oh, go ahead, Billy.
Well, Jelly Roll last year, of course, the story is incredible, because he was here at this correctional facility, when back when he was younger. He donated an entire semi-truck of toys for the holiday season last year. I don't know if if the same thing is coming this year. I would guess it is. But what did that mean last year? And, what can it mean again? Because, that ties into the community aspect of it. and just the mending of the two is really cool.
Yeah, it's interesting you bring that up. I my staff know this, my family knows this. I have a bromance with Jelly Roll. We have a lot of overlap, and we've been kind of friends for the last couple of years. He went to Antioch High School. He is younger than I am, but as I said, he and our paths have crossed many times. I opened the facility in 1990 that he eventually is incarcerated in, that basically changed his view of life because he had a daughter and all those things that he made happen. And so he came and did some stuff for us. And of course, he found out about the toy store. And so, we kind of whispered to him that if there's some opportunities back then. And so sure enough, I was standing out here when it happened on the back.
So was I. It was wild.
Truck pulled up, and you're just, and there wasn't a lot of fanfare. He didn't do that. And so what's happened this year, which is I could share an interesting audio message from 2 days ago. But one of the things that happened this year was we were going to do a joint toy drive 3 weeks ago for his concert downtown. And the idea was do the toy collection, then he was going to match that with some sort of financial donation, which will be very large. As you follow Jelly Roll's career, he was being jerked between winning a Grammy and going to New York, being on the NFL Sundays. And so there's a lot of scheduling conflicts. And so we were back and forth. And so as late as yesterday, he got a little bit out of sorts about what days are what. And so, I would just say this: I think matching a whole lot of what all is going on is happening, and just to look, I'm a huge fan. His story, he's changing lives, and I'm not saying that it's not a perfect world, and as he says, everybody's broken. I believe that, and he's tried to mend what he can, and does some great stuff. And he and I were kind of cutting up a little bit. This is the property in which he did his time. It's also the zip code in which he grew up in. And it is the zip code that is most benefited when we keep up with all the stats. And so this is an area of town that was important and needs help. There's things out here all over Nashville, but super big fan of him. And, gosh, who knows where he's headed in life. Just hook up with him.
So I don't know if anyone's filed a complaint yet, but a group of us went earlier today over to Sam's, which is basically a rock throw from this facility, and we purchased $1,700 worth of toys. They've been a little short in the young girls category, so we went in there. We bought 81 toys, really good toys, for about $1,700. And the people at Sam's looked at us like, what is going on here? It was great. I absolutely loved it. It's the second time this week I've gotten to do this. I just want you to know how much this means that you cared enough to allow this to happen. Because what it's done, it's expanded this thing like crazy.
But George, you're not being fair either, and I have been roped in the last several years by your entourage to show up the Monday after Thanksgiving and go to Hermitage and do something I'm not very good at, and but the bowling event you put on, the money, the credibility that you give to what we're trying to do is very important to not only me as in the sheriff's office, but what we're trying to do, and Dale says this all the time. You have a voice that everyone's used to and knows and respects your view of not only sports, but Nashville and what all it's gone through. There's not very many people who were born and raised around here and kind of have seen all these things. And I tell everybody, Nashville's changed more than anything I've ever imagined in every way. But it also has a lot of people who still have a lot of needs, and that's what this is about. So as corny as it sounds, I owe a lot to my city who gave me an opportunity to live my life and whatever I can do.
Amen.
I mean, and you've given us a platform.
And we have a platform.
It is.
We have a platform that we've got to make a decision. Are we going to use it for something better than just the babble that I put out there 5 days a week?
Well, you're not fair to yourself. And like I said, I don't know how many good bowlers there were. There were a bunch of bad ones at your event. And I'll tell you what, there was 2 or 3 in front of me. You know who I'm talking about. It was, what's Casey Pope? And,
I think they're pros.
Me too. There was some 300. Yeah. I was like, what are you doing going for 300 in a bowling tournament? I mean,
there were not any to the left of you. I can assure you of that. By the way, you may not know it. you're back in next year.
Well, I'm in. My back may not be in, but I'm
you're in.
So I'll be happy to do it. Thank you, George. Thank
Merry
you so
Christmas.
much. Merry Christmas to you.
Hey, thank you. Merry Christmas to your mom. Look
Thank
at
you
her
very
over there.
much.
She is ready and raring to go, even though they're pretty much closed. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely. That's Davidson County Sheriff Darren Hall joining us at our broadcast site. After the break, former Nashville Cats coach and current Kansas City Chiefs chief college scout Pat Sperduto will join us. We'll find out what he's up to next on 94.9 The Fan.
It was the most horrible experience that any mother could ever go through. I knew that I needed to get help. My friend, she immediately said, "You need to call Bart Durham." And you guys were there within an hour. You guys are like family for us.
Yeah, sure is nice to connect with the people that you're doing your best to help.
It's easy to say good things about the folks at Strike and Spare Family Fun Centers. Number one, I trust them with something that's near and dear to me, the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. But more importantly, I see the fun people have. They enjoy the bowling, they enjoy the camaraderie, and you will too. Come by any of their locations and get ready to have some fun. Here's Officer Darren Hoskins for the Metro Nashville Police Department.
The Metro Nashville Police Department is on the forefront of policing in this century, and I'm glad I'm a part of it. I'm glad I get to find other good officers, other future good officers. And if you're watching today, or you yourself or someone you happen to know is interested, join MNPD.com. Feel free to reach out to us because we need good officers, and it's a great city to work for.
Are you concerned about the Medicare Part D changes for 2025? Believe me, you're not alone. You need to contact Pancoast Benefits. They'll make the changes clear and easy to understand. Trust Pancoast to guide you through it all. Their knowledgeable team is here to help you understand the updates and make informed decisions about your Medicare coverage. Don't navigate these changes alone. Call Pancoast Benefits today at 615-292-3400 and choose option 3, or visit pancoastbenefits.com. That's 615-292-3400 and choose option 3.
Convenience and value, two words that we expect when we do business. Our goal at JHA Company is to deliver just that, both to our school partners and to our customers. Whether you're purchasing photos, yearbooks, class jewelry, letter jackets, school spirit wear, or senior graduation products, we strive to make the experience easy, convenient, and cost-effective. Find out more at jhacompany.com or call 615-867-6345 for more information. JHA, one source, one company.
First round of the college football playoff continues as SMU takes on Penn State. We'll join in progress after Vandy women's basketball on 94.9 The Fan.
Your sports live here on the Game Nashville Sports Network. It's the George Plaster Show. Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
Okay, we are back. I've got some new numbers for the two-day total. And this was just released about 45 seconds ago. In the 2 days that this thing has been going, 1,712 families have shopped for 4,114 kids.
Wow.
Day 3 is tomorrow from the sheriff's warehouse, which is where we are. Man, this thing's been decorated like crazy. at 5117 Harding Pike. If you're not doing anything tomorrow and want to get in the Christmas spirit, listen, it's not too late to volunteer. Go to lastminutetoystore.com and they'll sort of lead you into where you can register. Okay, Confessions of a Sinner. I was supposed to do what you're going to hear 4 days ago. I totally forgot. I will just admit, and Billy, for 2 days after the fact, I forgot until a phone call jogged my memory. And I picked up the phone and I called Pat Sperduto and I said, man, I owe you one. I said, it wasn't out of hatred or any of that kind of stuff. I simply forgot. So what did you say his official title is?
Well, college scout for the Chiefs.
No, I think it's more than that. Let's get official. Pat, what is the official title?
I'm the director of college scouting for the Kansas City Chiefs.
Okay, the director.
The director.
That's okay.
That does sound a lot more.
George was the director for a long time.
Yes, I was. And look where that got us.
First of all, I didn't know that this was going to be like, you're going to have me on camera here. This is crazy.
Oh.
Like, I got the face for radio, not for camera.
We both do. Who's kidding who? By the way, Sheriff Hall said to say hello. I didn't know that you guys know each other. You know, Pat, he actually offered up this warehouse as the site to move this to. The first time I ever did this, it was a small church on Charlotte and 61st Avenue, and it was busting at the seams, and they were able to work it out and basically take over this facility for about a week, and they've decorated it beautifully. It is unbelievable what is going on here.
Do you see what this is? This is the reason why I've been a part of our little deal on Christmas Day for the same reason. This city's pretty amazing. You know, when I got to come here, 28 years ago, 27 years ago, I realized, how lucky I was. Every day it's an impossible place to leave, because you are so much a part of this community and you want to give back so much. And then having met people like you and, the guys that you and I have in common, I've been so blessed. And I say it every year that what I do is, what we do as a family is that we only have one thing. We just want to give back. And that's really what it comes down to. And that's this entire city. It's a rare spirit that this city has. And we're all so blessed to be a part of this community.
And there's also a point, Pat, when we grew up, it was all about us getting gifts. I can remember there was a joke that went on when I was at BGA with a classmate, and we would laugh. What are you getting for Christmas? Meager gifts. We're always, if I called this one friend of mine, the first words out of his mouth would be meager gifts. But you reach a point, theoretically, as an adult, where it's no longer about you getting presents. It's about trying to help other people. You have very quietly been doing what you're about to tell us about for years. So lay it out there. I've thrown the softball, lay it on us. And then
for the last 28 years, we've been going out on Christmas Day. My family, it's been a part of our tradition. The first thing we do when we wake up on Christmas morning, we all know we pack up, we're all prepared. We go over to Yogi's Pizzeria. Yogi's been a part of this for the last, 16, 17 years, where him and his staff at Yogi's Pizzeria, and before that, some other restaurants, they prepare meals for the homeless. And that's kind of our meeting spot. And then we take, we've been lucky that people have donated new gloves, new hats, socks, and blankets, and through that, all those donations go directly to the homeless. And we go out on Christmas morning, and we'll be on the road at 9:00 in a caravan, and we just find as many homeless people that we're allowed to help, and we give them meals, and we give them gloves and hats and blankets, and we've been very fortunate, over the last 28 years to service 800 to 1,000 homeless people every year, and it's our way to give back. And it's now my family has named it the Art Paducah Christmas Miracle. If that makes any sense, and I'll kind of give you the backstory. It started at church on a Sunday morning. My son and I went to a separate mass, and we sat in the back. And Father Breen at church came walking down the aisle, and he was talking about this guy that works in sports, and he's such a good guy. Art Paducah is a special man that is giving back to our church and giving to the community. And I'm looking around looking for Art Paducah. And then he keeps walking down the aisle and walks up to me. And my son says, Cosmo says, "Hey, Dad, I think he's talking about you." I said, "No, he's talking about Art." And we're looking around for Art Paducah. And then he gets right in front of me and he says, "Hey, Art, stand up and say hello to everybody."
Oh, my God. I'd never heard that story.
And that's how it was named. And Yogi Davis was there at church, and
Yes.
the Warren family, and everybody's looking at it. And I just stood up and I said, "Yeah, thank you on behalf of the Paducah family."
Oh, my God. I've never heard that story. That's hilarious.
That's how it started. And then, so just to give you guys a kind of direction, anybody who's going out shopping or going anywhere to get their Christmas presents, if you can, just have a chance, pick up an extra package of socks or a couple pairs of gloves or mittens or a blanket or blankets. And we have 2 drop-off spots. One is at F45. They have 3 locations. It's the Gulch, it's Midtown, and it's Belmead. F45, it's a workout center. And my daughter had that contact. And then a former player of mine when I was with the Titans, Zach Pillar, owns Neighbors Bar and Grill. And he has 4 locations at Germantown, Franklin, Sylvan Park, and the Gulch. And there's boxes there. You'll see the Art Paducah Christmas Miracle box. It's a big huge box sitting there. And if you guys can fill it up, we'll make sure everything that goes in there goes directly to our homeless that need as much help as we can give them. And like I said, we're blessed to be a part of this. And like I said, we've been doing it for 28 years now, and I like it. And the Erin Donick, and she's we're there with her, and she's been a big part of it. And Willie Donick and Darren McFarland and his family have been a part of it. And there's been so many people that have just volunteered and helped us, try to make people who don't have anything going right now, give them a chance to have a decent day. And we're the lucky ones that get to share it with them.
That is so cool. Number one, what an awesome thing you've been doing. Number two, I hope in some small way we can get the word out a little farther of what you're up to, and that you can get even more help.
Yeah, my daughter set up a web. Now I'm like you. I know, George. I know your IT skills are very similar to mine.
Challenged.
She set up an Instagram account. It's the Art Paducah _ Christmas Miracle. And you can go on there and it'll give you information and show you the drop-off spots. And like I said, everybody that's been a part of it, I could never give back to them the time that they give for us to help somebody else. And it's my kids know nothing else. Since they were in baby carriers, we've had them out there, and when they were little kids, they were out there, and they know that that's the first thing we do Christmas morning. It's 4 or 5 hours of giving out. And it's, when they were kids, it was hard because they wanted to open their presents so badly. And they knew we had to go take care of the homeless before we took care of ourselves.
That's really cool.
It is incredibly cool. Am I allowed to ask a Patrick Mahomes question?
Sure.
I know you know him. And Pat, I sit there and I watch, and I see a year where I don't think he has this bountiful list of weapons that at times he's had. And, he's having to make chicken salad out of what. And it never seems to bother him. I don't see, nothing rattles this guy.
Yeah, he's a special guy. He's a great person, first of all, and then you add the fact that he's such an outstanding leader, and not enough people give credit. Obviously, Coach Reed is a rare coach in this league, and his success, he's a Hall of Fame coach, no question about it. But people don't understand. Patrick was given an example when he was a rookie, and people don't really people think he played like his first year when he got there, but we had a guy named Alex Smith who was a consummate professional, just a great person, a great pro, did everything the right way, and Patrick had the luxury of learning from Alex, and Alex was so good at getting to the facility early in the morning and staying late and doing the little detailed stuff. And Patrick's habits became, very similar to Alex's habits because he was humble enough to take the lead of a guy who had been there and done it. And he's taken it to the next level if possible. And that's why so many guys, when he goes down to Texas in the off season and brings all of his teammates down there to work on stuff. And he's just he's a great leader, and he's obviously a great football player. But for us, he's been such a great franchise guy, and he's a generational talent without question.
Billy, you get one football question, and then Pat, I want you to run through one more time before we let you go where the drop-offs can be.
Hey, Pat, appreciate you hopping on.
No
the
problem,
Chiefs
Billy.
This year.
It wouldn't have happened if it would have happened on Monday if I hadn't been such a
That's okay.
doofus.
That's okay. Chiefs are winning on their final play seemingly every game, and obviously Patrick Mahomes has been a big reason for that. 18-1 record since week 17 of last year. Obviously, Mahomes, when he's your quarterback, winning almost is okay. We're going to win, right? We know we're going to win. But what else? Who are the other guys that contribute to that? Who are the other coaches that contribute to that? And what makes this Chiefs team such a winning franchise?
Well, our general manager, Brett Veach, has done a great job of accumulating talent, but it's not just talent. We've been lucky. We kind of have a little adage in our building, more importantly than swinging for the fences and trying to hit home runs. If we can get as many doubles as possible, that's another way you can score a lot of runs. And I know I'm using the baseball analogy, but fortunately we've had a lot of guys that we knew were going to be good football players. We didn't know necessarily if they would become like rare type of player for us, but the guys that, obviously Travis being Travis, he's taken his game to a whole new level, and he'll be a Hall of Fame player. But the guys that go, under the radar, the Creed Humphreys, the Trey Smiths, the Leo Chenals, the Nick Boltons, and now a couple of years ago we had our draft class where, when we saw them in minicamp and rookie minicamp, everybody was like, "Oh my God, they're really not very good." And all I turned around, and I turned to Brett and I said, "You know what? Wait till the pads come on." And sure enough, when the pads came on, they all became really good doubles that ended up getting us into the Super Bowl out in Arizona. And it was a credit to Brett to have the conviction to take those guys. And then really more importantly, the coaching staff, for the first few months, Coach Spags was really upset because he had so many rookies. We had 9 rookies playing on defense the first game. And that's a hard learning curve because you're taking kids out of college and you're thrusting them into roles that they're probably not prepared for. But by week 10 and 11, those rookies became veterans with just the amount of reps that they got. So, it's been a group effort. Everybody's involved in it. And really it starts from the top with Brett Veach and Coach Reed and kind of the way it trickles down to everybody holding their responsibilities and taking personal responsibilities for any failures that we have.
Pat, tell people how they can get coats and blankets and gloves and socks.
You got it.
To you for the homeless.
Yeah, it's we have 3 drop-off locations, 3 facilities that'll take it. So F45 is a training facility, and they have 3 locations. F45 in the Gulch, They have an F-45 in Midtown, and they have an F-45 in Belmead, and they have a box there. And anybody who can drop off socks, gloves, knit hats, and blankets, we would love to have them. They have to be new, unfortunately, but if you can just pick it up, you can get them at Dollar General. Anything that you give us, we're going to make sure it gets out to the people who need it. And then, of course, Zach Pillar's tavern's called Neighbors, and that is in Germantown. He has one in Franklin. He has one in the Gulch as well, and one at Sylvan Park. And the box will be there. You'll see Art Paducah's Christmas Miracle on the box. You can't miss it. And if you just drop it in there, we'll be picking everything up on the 23rd that night, and everything will go out Christmas morning. And you will be taking care of some of the people who are much less fortunate than us.
Coach Paducah, I'm proud to have you as a friend. I didn't know you'd had a name change, but now that I'm aware of that, I'll take advantage of this knowledge. Thank you for coming on. I am so sorry for what I screwed up early in the week, but I'm glad we got this done.
Don't say that. It's awesome, and it's great to meet you, Billy. And I can't thank you enough, George. You know how much I care about you, and
ditto.
And what you've done there is pretty special. And I was honored, like I told you, to be a part of the bowling charity, and I'll be there next year as well. And hopefully I can make some other people laugh at me.
Well said. Merry Christmas to you and Laura and Cosmo and all the Paducahs out there.
Thanks a lot, George. I appreciate you.
Talk to you, Coach. He's one of the all-time good human beings that has ever been on this earth. Pat Paducah. Pat's Sperduto. Great story. Okay, after the break, let's do this. I guess we got time. If 2 or 3 or 4 of you want to get in on the phone line, jump in now at 615-553-0933. Again, 615-553, excuse me, 0933. How can they text
Chat
us?
room.
Yeah, whatever.
Chat room.
Yeah, I know.
YouTube.
Get rid of that nose thing.
To the right of the screen on YouTube, if you're watching, you can type it in that way. Also, Twitter, Facebook, if you're watching on your phone. Obviously, if you can't call in, we'd love to get your text. We'd love to hear from you on some of these games. Notre Dame, Indiana coming up tonight. Got 3 tomorrow, a couple of NFL games. We'd love to hear from you.
Okay, hit the phones or do whatever. This is 94.9 The Fan.
You were in a crash.
Yeah.
Your kids were in the car with you.
We're very lucky to even be telling this story to you. Nikki treated us like family, and she was very caring and loving, and I'm just so grateful for that. She was somebody I could trust, and being a veteran, that's so important to me. My kids are going to have a better life now because I don't have to worry about those expenses that we were out. Your family has really created a legacy of trust, and I would recommend you to anyone.
Venture Express has been helping people in this area for more than 40 years. They're headquartered in Murfreesboro with over 30 years of dedicated fleets involving production, manufacturing, and corrugated experiences. They're an asset-based company with over 700 tractors, 4,000 trailers, and 800 drivers. If you need their help, dial them up 615-793-9500 or log on to ventureexpress.com.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonleyTimmons.com.
Competitive rates, earning you more than ever before. WBT checking options allow you to earn rewards you can really use, like a high interest rate or cash back on check card purchases when you meet some e-banking qualifications. Visit your closest Wilson Bank & Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC.
A lot of people want to define teams by singular performances.
Sports. Did he not go back into the game after that interception?
Let's get this turned around. And we're all saying, no, they don't.
Here.
You thought you were on your way.
Your sports live here.
On ESPN 94.9.
And the Game Nashville Sports Network. It's the George Plaster Show. Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
Day two of the Last Minute Toy Store is now complete. Tomorrow is the third and final day. It's 7:15 tomorrow. I may not be as excited as I am right now, but by about 8:45, 9 o'clock, I'll wake up, so to speak, and be ready to roll for the third and final day. This is not only the most amazing charity I have ever seen, but it is probably the most efficient. Look how quick they get this place back and ready for tomorrow.
Yeah, last year was my first year coming here, and I was blown away. And it was a no-brainer, obviously, for us to come back here. But the address is 5117 Harding Place, out by the airport. If you can make it tomorrow, if not, look into next year. It's a phenomenal event. There's all kinds of different things to do. If you do want to volunteer, you can come for one day, you can come for two, come for three. But 5117 Harding Place, out by the airport, is how you get out here.
Okay, Megan, get on here for a minute. This will teach you to ever do this again. Megan Watts handles a lot of the numbers around this thing. Eric, by the way, hang with me for just a second. Okay, what are the numbers through 2 days?
For 2 days so far, we have served 1,816 kids.
Oh, hold on. Then I got to do a little adjusting. Okay.
So that puts us at a total of a little over 4,000 kids for the last 2 days.
Yeah. So the families are who shop.
Correct.
For those kids.
Correct.
The kids never know.
The kids never know anything about us.
They never know.
All that they know is that mom, dad, or caregiver has come home with a bag of toys for them to have for Christmas.
Don't ask any questions.
They don't ask any questions. Not at all. We don't want the kids to ever know about us, though. It's not about us. It's about us being able to provide for families throughout Davidson County.
Awesome.
Yes.
Thank you for the numbers.
You are so very welcome.
Let's go to Eric in Nashville. Eric, you're on 94.9 The Fan, and welcome.
Hey, George. I'm going to get to the Titans in a minute, but I was going to talk a little college football playoff first. First of all, George, here's my thoughts on tomorrow's game with Tennessee, Ohio State. I'm definitely taking Tennessee plus points. Does that mean they'll win? I don't know, but I've heard the combined points is like 46.5, and I agree with that. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game, something like 24-21. But I will say this. While I'm not calling for this to happen, George, I will say this. This would not surprise me if this does happen. I think Ohio State is getting a lot of criticism, of course, from their fans, Ryan Day, and everything. And a lot of times when something like that happens, that can fire up a team where they could come out with guns blazing. And I'm not saying that's definitely going to happen, but I'll also say I would not be shocked if Ohio State is so motivated they wind up blowing the doors off Tennessee. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but with all the criticism and everything they face, it just wouldn't surprise me.
And we haven't talked about that a ton, Eric. I think he's got a good point there that there is a chance. This has happened before and it happened a couple of years ago when Ohio State lost to Michigan. They almost beat and probably should have beaten Georgia in the 14 playoffs,
they were the better team.
They were the
that
better
night.
team. They outplayed them. And if they weren't playing Georgia that night and in that playoff, they probably win the national title that year. So there's a small part of me that thinks that could happen, and Ohio State rounds up their guys and comes out firing and wins by a couple of scores. But Tennessee is good enough to beat them. That's the thing. Again, Eric, that's a really good point. I don't think we talk about a ton.
Yeah. Also, another thing that's going to be interesting, too, is you usually wouldn't think something like that would happen, but, of course, there's 2 NFL games tomorrow, and, of course, the college football playoff is challenging those 2 games. Houston, Kansas City, and, of course, Pittsburgh and Baltimore, 2 pretty good games. And it's going to be interesting to see what the ratings are for that, because usually nobody would want to challenge the NFL, but that's going to be real interesting tomorrow, as well as somebody said, especially as far as teams advance, how many fans are going to be willing to continue to pay money for, like, hotels and rooms and tickets and, with Christmas and everything. Can they afford to do 4 straight games? That's going to be interesting, too. But lastly, as far as the Titans, and then I'll get off. George, I'll say this. I don't know how the Titans are going to play the rest of the way. I will say this. I know a lot of people are screaming and wanting to hear something from Amy, wanting to hear something from Rand. And here's my thoughts on that, George. I really believe I'll say this. I'd be surprised if we do hear something from them. I really believe they're going to wait until after the season is over before they say anything. They're going to let these last 3 games play out. Maybe they'll say something the next day, like that Monday or that Tuesday. If they don't say something by then I would be very surprised. I just think they're not going to comment on anything about coaching staff or levels or make any statements about this football team until after the season's over. And I know that may not be reassuring to a lot of Titans fans, but that's just my feeling. And I would be surprised you hear something now. So I just think they're going to wait until the season's over. Guys, as always, good to talk to you. Y'all take care, and we'll talk to you soon.
Okay, Eric, listen, have a good weekend. Here's the thing. If she knows that she is retaining Brian Callahan, he doesn't deserve all this.
No, and I think he's being retained.
I think he's being retained too, but
you're right. She hasn't come out.
A lot of speculation around him that feels like it might be totally unnecessary.
She hasn't come out and said anything. Carthon hasn't come out and said anything. I think Carthon could be the guy that isn't with the Titans next year.
Who knows?
But again, nobody knows.
Nobody knows but Amy, and she may not know.
Exactly. That's the thing about right now. There are still 3 games to play. I mean, what if the Titans come out and look like gangbusters and blow out these next 3 teams? How does that change things? So,
by the way, Florida's up 9-0 on Tulane.
Boy, what an ugly game that is.
Yeah, where is that? What bowl is that?
Gasparilla Bowl in Tampa.
Oh gosh, I've always said if you can't go to the Rose Bowl, go to the Gasparilla.
Well, that's one of the newer bowls too. It's the Gasparilla Parade down there. I think is how that originated.
I didn't know what it was until a couple of years ago. So he raises an interesting point that Ohio State, in theory, ought to come out snorting mad.
Yeah,
because they've been called everything under the sun for almost a month. Well, not almost a month, about 3 weeks worth. And they're bound to be getting tired of hearing it. So it does feel like Tennessee may have to weather a storm early in that game. But on the flip side, if they weather that early storm, advantage Tennessee.
Well, and not just if they weather it. If Tennessee gets up early, like we've talked about, you're going to hear some boo birds in Columbus. How does that affect the Ohio State team? Because we heard from Joey Kaufman a couple of days ago, or yesterday actually, on the show that, the fan base obviously has some angst and a lot of them want Ryan Day out, but the team, they're laser focused and it doesn't apply to them. And I don't really buy a whole lot of that. I mean, in the social media world, these players know exactly what's being said about their coach, but they've got a chance to come out and play for them. And, perfect world from Ohio State. They come out, they beat Tennessee, and they look impressive. Howard, they actually start throwing the football to their receivers. They didn't do that. If they come out and play the way they did and call the offense the way they did against Michigan, Tennessee's going to win this game. But if they get the ball out to their receivers and do what they are good at doing, they'll win. I do think it's that simple. Now, their interior of the offensive line is susceptible, as we've talked about too. So if Tennessee can get pressure on Howard, then we're talking about a different story. So either way, I can't wait. I mean, we're a few hours away from Notre Dame, Indiana, and then we've also got Tennessee, Ohio State tomorrow night. Buckle up.
The two primetime games, I think, are going to get monster numbers. The 2 day games,
noon and
tomorrow,
4, I don't know.
Yeah, the 2 day games are on TNT, and I don't pretend to know why it is that ESPN passed those over.
Well,
to
and
TNT.
you already know people are going to be, what channel? Where are the games?
Right.
But I don't have TNT.
Yeah.
So
they're the NBA station. They're the Charles Barkley Network.
But ESPN graphics, ESPN production, it's not like that's going to be different.
Okay, after the break, we'll have Plaster Bet of the Day. I don't remember how many I gave you. It's 6 or 7.
Yeah, something like that.
You better pay attention. I'm on a roll. I am undefeated this week, so stick around. All of that and more on 94.9 The Fan.
Where can you see a saber-toothed tiger rappel from the rafters? How about a catfish fly? The biggest stars in Music City. Not to mention hockey's hottest ticket. The Predators win! Only in Smashville. See your Nashville Predators all season long at Bridgestone Arena. Single game tickets are on sale now at NashvillePredators.com. Let's go, Preds!
This is my buddy Stan Harrison from Apple Collision Centers. Recently, you've been talking to me about companies that have a fleet of trucks and they're always in need of repairs.
That's right, George. We understand that nobody likes to deal with the auto body repair process. We try to simplify that at our 3 convenient locations. We work with all major insurance companies. We help to ease the stress of the auto body repair process. We're located in Old Hickory, Hendersonville, and Gallatin. If you need our services, please stop by and see us.
And how convenient that we have that in the background. Now, seriously, these are good folks. They do really good work. Give them a holler. Star Physical Therapy was established in 1997 with one great mission: to serve. If you're hurting, don't wait to receive physical therapy. You don't need a referral to see their physical therapist, and early morning and evening appointments are available. Make the call to 615-673-1420 and get rid of that pain. Star Physical Therapy, the official health provider of Football Friday.
Destination every moment you spend at Harrah's Metropolis earns you points across the entire Caesars Empire. It's your time to win at Harrah's Metropolis. Must be 21 or older to gamble. Know when to stop before you start. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
It's the George Plaster Show. Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
Final segment on a Football Friday, broadcasting live from the Last Minute Toy Store, 5117 Harding Place, out here by the airport. It's been a good couple of days. George will be back out here tomorrow, and I know we've got bright and early. We've got Notre Dame, Indiana tonight, 3 more college football playoff games tomorrow, and as Eric mentioned, a couple of NFL games tomorrow as well. We'll see where George is going with Bet of the Day, brought to you by Bart Durham Injury Law. But first, let's take a look at what's been happening, and I think we might need an investigation into you as well, George. I mean, have you been...
I like that. A lot of...
Have you been mingling with
the win column?
Somebody new? I might have to trail you this weekend.
No, it's just brilliance. So my record with this little winning streak is 116 wins, 102 losses, and 3 ties. Let's get to the business at hand. It is a busy weekend. Let's start with Notre Dame. Line has dropped down to 6.5, and I don't really know why. Maybe it's the weather. Either way, I'll admit, I have bought into Notre Dame just physically at the line of scrimmage, in particular when they have the football, is better than Indiana. Indiana failed the big test at Ohio State, and Ohio State dominated that game. Indiana scored a touchdown late that made it better. I'm not buying that Indiana wins tonight. I'm taking Notre Dame by at least a touchdown.
Let's go Irish.
Tomorrow, I'm taking SMU plus the 8.5 for one reason. I think that Penn State has gotten in a bad habit of getting way too conservative in tight games. James Franklin settles for too many field goals in too many settings where he needs 7 instead of 3. Now, it could totally boomerang, and I might be dead wrong and Penn State wins in a rout. But I'm telling you, SMU got my attention in that Clemson game. In the second half, they were really good. I am taking them to cover, not to win, but to cover plus the 8.5. Game 3 to me is the rout. I don't think Clemson belongs in this thing. Now, oh, nice.
Hook them.
I don't think Clemson belongs in this.
They're going to roll over them.
By way of what I'll call a fluke and a little help from Syracuse, Clemson is in, but I don't think they're ready for this kind of a test. No. I think Texas wins, and I think they win big. This is, to me, the least appealing of the 4 games.
Yeah,
now,
this is the game. If you want to do some shopping, do it at 4 or 3 o'clock.
Now to the big one. I'm taking Tennessee plus the points. I don't know that Tennessee wins the game. It's a really tough ask to go up there and win. But I do believe Tennessee's defense will be really good in this game. What Ohio State brings emotionally to the table, I don't know. I know if I was a Buckeye, I'd be snorting mad, ready and raring to go. But there's a toxic atmosphere up there, and I just don't know.
This started at 7, and in the last couple of days has bumped up to 7.5. That hook for me was all I needed to take Tennessee, because I think they keep it. Maybe this is a field goal game. If not, it's a 1-score touchdown game. So that hook tells me this is an easy bet. Now, again, there's an outside shot. Ohio State comes rip-roaring out and just rolls over Tennessee, but with the cold weather, and he's not a C.J. Stroud type drop back and throw it 40 times a game. Now, maybe he proves me wrong tomorrow night, but I'm with you here. That's pretty easy.
I'm taking Tennessee plus the points, and it's good for business.
It sure is.
Okay, on the pro level, I'm taking Baltimore minus 6.5. That's a bigger line than normal against the Steelers. Pittsburgh's offense has grinded to a halt, and you wonder what Russell Wilson has left in the tank. The game is in Baltimore. Lamar Jackson has been hearing for a week that his career record is 1-4.
0-4.
0-4, whatever it is, put a 1 by it tomorrow. Baltimore wins by at least a touchdown. And
Raiders.
The Raiders in a game that nobody cares about. 2 crummy teams going at it. Vegas at home, minus 1.5. Why did I take it?
This is a real sicko.
Because it was about 7:45 in the morning, and I may have been a little blurry-eyed when I gave Billy these. What else? Ah, yes, the Colts. Colts are a better team right now than the Titans. I wish I could say otherwise, but the fact of it is Indy's just better. They're at home. Whatever their playoff hopes are, and they are remote at best, they will win and they will cover Sunday against the Titans.
I'm with you on that.
Yeah. Okay, so it looks like we're done. We're done. Listen, if as we close out, we will have a show on Monday, normal time, 3 to 5 p.m. We'll let you know what our broadcast plans are during the holiday season. If you would like to volunteer tomorrow for the Last Minute Toy Store, go to their website, lastminutetoystore.com. Enjoy your football. It's going to be awesome. See you Monday.